Hey guys, welcome back to our kitchen. It has been a minute, so we have taken a few weeks off because we had a baby. A lot less happening down here right now, which is really great. It's also why, if you notice, I have bruises from all of the IVs and fun stuff that happens in the hospital when you have babies. So that is where we have been, but we are back. I'm about a week postpartum now to the sweetest baby, the best baby in the whole world. That being said, we have a lot happening on our homestead right now. So we are full swing on getting started on everything in our garden, which is awesome, less awesome postpartum, I will say. But we have a great team here with our family, and so they have definitely picked up the slack. We have some things though. We did a really good job of doing our freezer meals and getting prepared for that, but we have some things that we're starting to kind of run low on or run out of in our pantry. So I am needing to do some restock on some of that. One of those is jam. So we ran out of jam. We have been buying like the Welch's brand grape jam for as long as we have had children, and it was just time to pass on that since we ran out of it. Rather than running to the store and buying more, it just felt like a good time to start filling our larder with some that we are making ourselves. So that's what I'm going to work on today. We have some shelf building happening outside right now. My son is working on building some new bookshelves for his room. And then we just kind of have random stuff happening all over, kind of getting ready for garden stuff. So now we do have a berry patch that is planted, but because I needed to go ahead and get some jam made today, I went with the next best thing. I went with frozen. So if you look at the ingredients on this, it is just strawberries. You can go organic if you want to. They sell those at Costco and at Sam's. But I was at Walmart, so this is what I grabbed. So I am actually just letting this thaw out right now. And once this is completely thawed out, we will get started on making our strawberry jam. So if you are like me, you're wanting to kind of start right now, filling up your pantry with homemade things, but you don't have access, either maybe you don't have a berry patch, or you, my hair is getting in my lipstick, or you are just at the same place in time that we are, where you are not producing anything yet. I want to show you another really good option on something that you can use to make something homemade. You know everything that's going in it. There's no high fructose corn syrup, and it's going to be really, really yummy. So we're going to do that today while everybody else is kind of working on some other stuff on the homestead today. So I've let this set for a couple of hours. I don't think it is entirely defrosted yet. So I'm going to put about 3/4 of this bag, because we want about 3 pounds. This bag is 4 pounds of strawberries in here. Looks good. I waited about, I don't know, a couple hours for my strawberries to defrost, and they did not fully defrost. So I have just kind of a pretty low heat here. I don't necessarily need them to be completely thawed out, but for the most part, we want them to be pretty thawed out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just stick them in my pan. I'm going to cook my actual jam in and kind of get that going. So I'm going to let these sit for a good 10-15 minutes and defrost as much as possible. I'm going to cover them. And while I have this going, I actually also have started my water bath canner. It's already brought to a boil, which is fine because this is going to take me a while. So I'm going to turn this down. I said it's going to take me a while, but it's not. This jam recipe is fairly quick. It only has 4 ingredients in it. And so once I get these strawberries defrosted, then we are going to get rolling, and it's going to actually happen pretty fast. So we've let these go for, about 10 minutes maybe. And they are not completely thawed all the way through, but that's okay. I don't need them to be. I just need them to be enough so that I can blend them up. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to stick them in my blender. If you like a chunkier jam, obviously you don't have to do this. You can use an immersion blender and then leave as much or as little like pieces of fruit in there as you want. If you like a really chunky jam, then you can just use like a potato masher would work fine. But we are a easy to spread, thin jammed family. So I'm going to go ahead and get these whirred up really well. And I'm actually not even going to turn my fire off because I don't need to. This is going to take me like 10 seconds. So from there, I'm just going to pour this right back into my pot. And this came out to about 5 cups, maybe a little bit over, of the blended strawberries. So then to that, I'm going to add 2 things. I'm going to add my packet of Sure Gel, which this recipe is like the basic Sure Gel strawberry jam recipe. So this is pectin. There is 1 3/4 ounce, I believe, pectin in that. And then I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of butter. And if you're thinking, wow, what a weird thing to add, I would agree with that. I don't know what the butter does in there, but I'm telling you, this jam is so yummy. I am not willing to deviate from this recipe because it is so good. I'm going to whisk this up, and I'm going to turn my heat up to about a medium. And I'm going to make sure that I get all of that pectin mixed in there really well. And then after that, once it comes to a full rolling boil that I cannot stir down, I'm going to add in the last ingredient, which is 7 cups of sugar. So I am using just a pure cane sugar here. I wouldn't recommend swapping this out with like honey or anything like that. I have never tried that. Maybe it would work, but pectin requires that sugar in there to work. So you want to stick as close to, especially if you're canning it, a tested recipe as possible. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to let this heat up, come to a full rolling boil, and I will show you what that looks like. So one thing that we do want to do while our jam is going is I want to sterilize my jars. So since I have my water already boiling, this is the perfect place to do that. So I'm actually just going to drop these in the boiling water in the little holder here, just while I finish my jam. And by the time I'm done, the jars will be fully sterilized, and I will just pull them out, pour the water back in the water bath canner, and they will be good to go. So this jam is going to be super hot, and I do not want to put hot jam in hot jars. So because of that, I'm going to fight these a little bit right now. So because of that, I want to get my jars heated now. So that's going to sterilize them, and then it's also going to make sure that my jars don't crack. Because if you've ever had that happen, it's a mess and kind of a nightmare. So I'm going to let those go and let those sterilize. I'm going to put this down so that they can get submerged into that water and get going on the rest of my jam. So we're starting to see some bubbles around the outside of the pan. This, however, is not boiling enough to where I can't stir it down. So we're not quite there yet, but we are getting close. Okay, we are bubbling really good. You can see that whenever I stir it, the bubbles aren't going away. So it is to the point where we want it to be now. So from here, I am going to take and quickly add in all my sugar. It's a lot of sugar, but all jam is. And one thing that I really like about this is that I know exactly what I'm putting in this. So I wouldn't really substitute this necessarily for like an actual serving of a fruit or vegetable. But especially in the wintertime, it's really nice to be able to have that nice fresh bite of summer. And it does have real fruit in it. So I feel pretty good about giving this to my kids. It's not just a bunch of junk. I know exactly what I'm putting in it. So at this point, I'm going to try to get all of that sugar dissolved in there. And then I am going to set a timer for 1.5 minutes. I'm going to let this go, stirring constantly for 90 seconds. Alexa, set a timer for 1.5 minutes. All right, our timer has gone off, so I'm going to take this off of the heat. We're going to pull this foam off of the top. Actually, I think I can just do that right here. So I'm going to pull this foam off of the top. I'm just going to skim it, and you can see the color, the dark red that has changed from where it was when I first pureed the strawberries. Don't skimp on this foam. If you have a jug of lemonade made, woo, throw some of this in there. It is so good. Also like this on vanilla ice cream. This definitely does not have to just go to waste. We just don't want it in our jars. Okay, so now we're going to move that over and ladle that into our hot jars that I just pulled out of the water. We have our defoamed, mostly defoamed, it's still got a little foam on it, but that's all right, jam. And we have our nice hot jars. I just took them out. They're dry because they dry really fast because they're hot, but they're sterilized and warm enough that they're not going to bust when I put the hot jam in there. So I have a jar filler funnel, and I am just going to ladle this into my jars. This will make about 6 pints, 3 quarts, 12 half pints. I'm going to leave about 1 inch of headspace in there. Ooh, pan is hot. You do want to be really careful to not touch the actual jam itself because it is really stinking hot. But one thing I like about this recipe is that you can do it without having a candy thermometer. You're just watching where and how much it's boiling. That gives you all the information that you need. I think I'm only going to get 5.5 out of this. If I don't get that last jar full, then that will just be the first one that we use, and instead of canning it, it will just go directly into the refrigerator. Which is what's happened here. That's fine. Okay. We have our jars full. So the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm just gonna wet a paper towel. This one I'm not really worried about because, like I said, I'm not canning it. I'm not worried about it actually sealing. But the rest of these, I'm gonna put back on here. I'm gonna just clean off the rims and add new lids and rings, and then we're going to water bath them. If I were using anything, if I were canning anything that had any kind of fat in it, I would do this with vinegar, but since this does not have fat in it, it's just sugar. I guess there is that butter in there, but it's not enough that's gonna make a difference. I'm just gonna clean it with water. Whoops. Not a very neat canner. And you just want to do this just to make sure that you don't have any leftover jam on the top of your jar, because if you do, it's not going to seal properly. So new lids, just like that. We'll put the rings on them and get them in the canner. So because these are acidic, I can water bath can them. There are things that you cannot water bath can. I would strongly suggest sticking to tested recipes just to make sure that you are having the safest canning practices possible. So I'm going to pop this thing down. Pray that water doesn't go all over the place. Oh, perfect. I'm gonna put the lid on and I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes. And that's all the time that that is gonna take to process. So that's it. Once I let the jam set, we have sealed jars. You can know that it's sealed. You never want to store your jars with the rings on anyway, but you can know that it's sealed if you can hold it by that lid and it doesn't pop off. So this one is good to go in the pantry, and we are going to have some homemade jam on some baguettes later for like a fun little treat, which is going to be great. So that is all. That's all I have today. I'm going to go hold my sweet baby and take a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a nap, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.